You recently posted that essentially there needs to be still a two-state solution, and you said that anything else would be undemocratic and un-Jewish. The undemocratic part you referred to the annexation, if there were to be some kind of annexation. Honestly, I don't know if you're referring to annexing Gaza or annexing both Gaza and Judea and Samaria. And then you refer to, and then you, in parentheses, you put one, if it's one state, it's not going to be Jewish. Professor, with all due respect, I'm sure you remember, maybe you were not alive at the time, I definitely was not, that we had this thing called the Six-Day War. Our enemies attacked us from like all sides, 5 different armies. We beat them back miraculously, and we then captured the old city of Jerusalem and even the Temple Mount, which we gave away. We also captured the Golan Heights, which is, technically Jewish land. All archaeology and anthropology points to that, and it's high ground, so we kept that. We annexed it officially after, actually, we were about to give it back, even up until like 1999, 2000, via Ehud Barak and Bill Clinton. Thank God we did not do that. And Judea and Samaria, which is the heartland and the cradle of Jewish civilization. We're talking about Shiloh, Hebron, Beit El, Har Bracha, Shechem, which they call Nablus, which is actually a twist on the name Neapolis, which was a Roman city, really. As you know, the Arabs don't have the letter P in their alphabet. We decided we were not going to officially annex it, but we were going to allow Jews to live there, but we weren't, but we were, but we weren't, but we were, and then we just kind of did this whole putting facts on the ground scenario, and now we have 700,000 Jews living there, maybe more, who are citizens of Israel, who, by the way, serve in the army. It's been explained to me, and I've been made to understand that I think at least 30%, 40%, maybe even 50% of the guys who have fallen in Gaza, this current conflict, are guys who hail from Judea and Samaria, from those communities. Okay. So you're saying that basically, if we annex, let's just say Judea and Samaria and Gaza, which we pulled Jews out of exactly 20 years ago, which by the way led to this whole thing, that it will not be democratic. And if it's one state, meaning one thing really, your whole statement is really one thing, because one thing begets the other. If we annex, then we become one state. It's a one-state solution, a Jewish state, a fully Jewish state, right? So you're saying it's going to be not democratic and not Jewish. I would venture to say, I would wager that it probably will be the epitome of democratic and probably the epitome of Jewish, because the Jewish people will have Judea and Samaria, what we should have annexed in 1967, just like we, took control of the old city of Jerusalem, right? And if you notice, speaking of democratic, at no time has the city of Jerusalem, and by extension all of Israel, has been accommodating to every single solitary religion as when we have control of it. Whether it's Jerusalem, whether it's the entirety of Israel, when the Jews control something, it's as democratic as it could be for everybody. It's as free as it could be for everybody. Notice when the Muslims control something, let's take a look at the Arab world when Jews live there, and also even Christians, right? what happens? The minority religions have to pay a tax, jizya tax. They're dhimmis. They're basically second-class citizens, officially, right? According to the state. You saw what happened in like places like, speaking of Judea and Samaria, places like Bethlehem, where there's no more Christians. They left. They were weeded out. So I don't know. I feel like what you're saying would, like, the opposite would be true. Literally, the diametrical opposite would be true. If we annex what we were supposed to annex, if we take back where we pulled out of Gaza, which led to this disaster, it led directly to this disaster. And I'm not saying it with 2020 hindsight. I remember distinctly at the time, I was in my mid-20s, and I remember our shul was giving out these orange wristbands, because we knew that pulling Jews out of their homes in Gush Katif would lead to calamity. And lo and behold, that happened on Tisha B'Av, right? On the 10th of Av, it culminated. And we just got, you saw what we got, right? We got rockets and rockets and rockets and rockets and rockets and rockets and rockets for 18 years. And then that culminated on October 7th. So now it's been 20 years. So now, what do you want to do, right? Like, rewarding these folks, it was one thing if you, which I didn't even agree with either, you wanted to make a two-state solution because you thought this and you thought that for all these years, and you thought it was going to be good for them, and you know, it was like an incentive for peace. As you can see, they've abundantly proven to us that that's not what they want. That's not what they're looking for. They are looking for a one-state solution, but it's not a state that's ruled by the Jews. It's a state that's ruled by them, where Jews are, at best, dhimmis, at worst, not there. You know, we get to leave. We get to go to Europe and to I don't know, we don't get to go to the Arab world. If we go to the Arab world today, it's not going to be pretty. We get to leave. I don't know, they don't care where we go. We could, for all they care, that we could swim in the Mediterranean Sea. So, with all due respect, Professor, I would put it to you that, yes, annexing what literally is our land, the Jews annexing Judea, will not make it less democratic or less Jewish. Because annexing really means one state, right? It's the same thing. It's one and the same. It would make it more Jewish, because Jewish equals Torah, and Torah equals Jewish, and Jewish history equals Jewish, and all the rest of it, right? And for sure, as we've seen, like with facts on the ground, empirical evidence, that you can call it anecdotal, but it's not really anecdotal, it's just life in front of, what I call life in front of your face, right? That clearly, under the Jews, everyone else is freer than when it's the other way around. It's real, what you call democratia. You know, it's interesting, as you've seen, as you can see, right? Talking to those on the left in America is a futile endeavor. I don't know if you've been able to speak to them. You can't speak to them. I've tried. Anybody who disagrees with them on anything, right? It's over. The game is over. What I noticed, Professor, when I try to speak to people on the left in Israel, there is some sort of conversation to be had, but, and I don't know where you're from, like let's say I speak to people in Tel Aviv, they've admitted to me that they live in a bubble. They live in a particular bubble, physical bubble, but also a psychological bubble. And it's almost like they don't know anything else, or they don't really acknowledge anything else. You know? They don't acknowledge that, you know, for example, Judea and Samaria is a mountain range. Forget about the, religion for a second, or even history. It's a mountain range. You want to give, there was someone, not you, but we had prime ministers that wanted to give these people a state. And a mountain range that's right next to Tel Aviv, where you can fire rockets at Tel Aviv from that mountain range. Look up Peduel, cities like Peduel. Uh, there's a few other cities in Western Shomron where you could pretty much do that if you wanted to, if you were so inclined. Uh, yeah, so I have a feeling that you're still kind of in that mindset, unfortunately, even though obviously you've been put in a position to, and rightfully, meaning you're doing the right thing, you're defending Israel, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, but you're still trying to stick to hold on, to cling to those old ideas and those old, they're really not only old, they have been proven to be non-things. I don't want to say nonsensical. Again, I don't want to insult you personally. The ideas have been proven to be not effective. Not effective, not what's best for the Jewish people, not what's best for Israel, not even what's best for democracy. And what could be, again, what could be good for democracy, as we've seen with Jerusalem, again, the old city, or even just in general, Jerusalem itself and other cities, Haifa as well, when the Jewish people are in charge, there's more democracy, and it's obviously more Jewish. And in this case, when the Jewish people basically annex, when they hold on to what is theirs and officially declare, hey, it is ours, when there's no ambiguity, right? Why do you think people accuse us of not being the real Jews, or not even belonging in Israel? Why do you think that's the case? You ever wonder about that? Why are there people like this? And by the way, there was never, as much as there's been anti-Semitism throughout history, right? And they accuse us of this, and they accuse us of that. You notice, they never said that land doesn't belong to us. They're only saying it now. Why are they saying it now? Besides the fact that we know that it's, to cover, and it's like more in vogue to be, anti-Zionist than it is anti-Semitic. But now you see all the masks have come off, right? But they're still clinging to that. They're still saying, it's not your land. Go back to Poland. Go back here. You know why? Because it's our fault. Because we are dilly-dallying. We're wishy-washy on something which is ours, particularly that area called Judea and Samaria. We're allowing people to call it the West Bank. The West Bank. What is it the West Bank of? It's like a friend of mine who lives in Shiloh. I know about Chase Bank. I know about, Citibank. I know about Bank Leumi. I know about this bank, but I don't know about West Bank, okay? It's Shomron. It's Binyamin. It's Judea, right? This isn't irrefutable. That's where we're from. That's where our entire civilization, I don't want to call it religion, civilization got started. And Hashem gave us a gift in 1967. He literally gave us a gift. We weren't even planning on being there, right? Taking any of it. We were happy with our little French fry, the thing that was like this, with this partition, or whatever it was, partition plan. It was a disaster. So, I think annexing would be more democratic, would lead to more democracy, and more Jewishness. Like, I don't know how it wouldn't. And I think that giving anything to people who attacked us is basically, you are dafka you're creating apartheid, really. You're creating a real apartheid situation. Now, if they accuse us of apartheid, they'd probably be right. You're splitting the country in two. And you're giving mountain ranges, and you're giving, I don't know what. Unless you're planning on giving them a state in the desert, which I don't think you are, right? And somewhere out in the Sinai Desert, which I don't think that's the case. You're just creating another breeding ground for next October 7th. And again and again and again, as they say. That's their goal. That's what they want. So I'm sorry, Professor. I just want to say I appreciate everything you're doing in Columbia University and all the flack you've taken and all the all the crap you've taken, really. I mean, it's terrible. It's really terrible. I mean, I'm not surprised with these universities. I have my own story from when I went to Harvard I visited Harvard a few years ago. This is like 2017. I already saw things over there that I kind of saw this coming. All this stuff with these universities. I'm not surprised, but still, it's shocking to see. It's shocking in the sense that a country that gets attacked, and all of a sudden the people are like, accusing a country and accusing people of, before we even move the muscle, right? You remember this. We didn't even move a muscle after October 7th. This is before we went into Gaza, and they were already screaming. So, but this stuff with two-state solution and non-annexing and no democracy and all this stuff, it's not only old, it's literally been proven wrong. It's been proven wrong. And annexing, or Jews controlling what is theirs, or controlling an area and like people that are not Jewish living in that area, has been proven to be a good thing. Has been proven to be more, I don't know if you should use the word effective, but it's been proven to be better than the other way around, history-wise. We see in the Arab world, we've seen North Africa, we've seen, even the Christian world, right? That's not to say we should walk around the whole world, annexing the whole world, but at the very least, a place called Judea and Samaria, and another place called Gaza, which we pulled 9,000 Jews out of 20 years ago, which led to this disaster. Professor, we have to move forward. We have to move forward. We have to think of other things. We have to think of logical things. We have to think of natural things. And what's natural is for the Jewish people to be in their ancestral homeland, and where it all began, in Hebron, in obviously Jerusalem, in Hebron, in Shiloh, in Beitel, where they have the encampments from the Maccabim, right? The Hanukkah, basically the Hanukkah. It's not the story; it's the Hanukkah place where it all happened, right? The battles. It's just reality on the ground. And with all due respect, Professor, the reality on the ground, it's not about left to right wing. It's not about settler, this or that. It's just about what is the reality on the ground. What has the reality on the ground proven to us? It's proven to us that it's better if we have our land. And it's better if we're the ones administering the law in the land that is ours. It's better for everybody. Because, in the words of Charles Barkley, in those deodorant commercials back in the 90s, anything else would be uncivilized. Literally. All right, Professor. Keep up the good work. And Zat Hashem, it's going to be okay. Talk soon.